I overheard my wife drunkenly laughing with her friends. He's too stupid to realize I've been cheating for years. I, 33M, never thought I'd be that guy posting here. But here we are. Buckle up, this one's rough. Last weekend I was supposed to go on an overnight trip with the boys to watch the game 2 states over. We'd been planning it for months, but at the last minute Daryl's kid got sick, so we cancelled. No big deal, things happen. Since I suddenly had a free night, I figured I'd surprise my wife, Heather, 32F, by coming home early. Yeah, I know how that usually goes in these stories, and trust me, what happened next was even worse than walking in on her with someone else. When I pulled into the driveway around 9 p.m., I noticed a few cars parked out front. I recognized Michelle's Subaru and Kathleen's Honda. Heather had mentioned having the girls over for wine night, so it all checked out. I was heading to the front door when I heard laughter coming from the back deck. They were loud, wine-drunk loud. I decided to sneak around back and surprise them. But then I heard my name. Heather's voice, slightly slurred. "Griffin is just so..." She trailed off and her friends giggled. Then Michelle said, laughing, "I still can't believe you've kept this going so long." And then Heather, my wife, practically shouted, "He's too stupid to realize I've been cheating for years." The whole group roared with laughter. I froze, completely. My brain just stopped working. Then she kept going. "Sutton was the best decision I ever made. Last week, while Griffin was working late, Sutton came over and we did it right on the couch. You know, the one where he takes his precious naps." More laughter. Someone, I think Kathleen, screamed, "Not the nap couch." "You should have seen how sweet Griffin was the next day," Heather went on, "made me breakfast and everything. If he only knew what his precious wife had been doing the night before." My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched. That breakfast. Avocado toast, her favorite eggs, coffee in bed. I told her I loved her. I don't know how long I stood there, just listening. Every word was like another knife. I learned that her business trips were their rendezvous points, that they'd been sleeping together for 3 years, that the weekend of my dad's funeral, when she said she had food poisoning, she was actually with him. I didn't confront them. I didn't make a scene. I just walked back to my car, drove to a Target parking lot and sat there until I could breathe again. A grown man hyperventilating alone at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. That was me. When I finally calmed down, I called Daryl. Thank God he answered. I told him everything. "Don't go home tonight," he said. "Crash here. We'll figure this out." At his place, I paced the living room while he Googled divorce lawyers. Every memory of the last few years started replaying in my head. All the little red flags I'd brushed off. The girls' trips with no photos. The phone always face down. The late-night client showings. The hotel charges near our house. I felt like the biggest fool on earth. Around 3 a.m., Heather texted me, "Girls are crashed here. Hope you're having fun with the boys. Love you." The audacity. Daryl took my phone. "Be smart, don't tip her off yet." So I didn't. The next morning, I told her I'd crashed at Daryl's after too many drinks. She bought it, even complained about cleaning up after her friends while nursing her hangover. That week, I went into full recon mode. While she showered, I checked her phone. Thousands of messages with Sutton, her client, hotel receipts, explicit photos. I took screenshots and emailed them to myself. Then I checked our finances. Restaurant charges I'd never heard of, lingerie I'd never seen, even a weekend getaway she'd paid for with our joint account, the same weekend as my dad's funeral. Each discovery was another gut punch. 8 years of marriage. Every time I defended her to my family, every plan for our future, the baby talks, all of it was a lie. I met with a divorce lawyer on my lunch break, the most aggressive one in town according to Google reviews. She told me to document everything, secure my finances, and stay quiet until the case was airtight. "You're doing the right thing," she said. "The more prepared you are, the better your position will be." That night, I watched Heather laugh at something on her phone, probably texting him, and something inside me just broke. The pain was still there, but the love was gone. The moment everything changed. But then, it was like ice water in my veins instead of fire. The rage melted into something colder, sharper. I realized I didn't just want out of this marriage. I wanted justice. See, Heather had built her entire identity around being admired. Her reputation, her image, her carefully curated perfect life on Instagram. All of it was her crown jewel, the devoted wife, the successful realtor, the woman her friends went to for advice, their so-called moral compass. And now I had the proof that it was all a lie. So I started making moves, quiet, precise, deliberate. I transferred half our savings into a new account in my name only. Changed passwords, secured every important document. Took photos of valuables around the house and made a detailed inventory of all our assets. All by the book, exactly as my lawyer advised. Meanwhile, I played my role to perfection, kissed her goodbye each morning, asked about her day, sat beside her on the couch while she texted Sutton, pretending not to notice. Every smile, every I love you was a mask. Inside I was a storm, but outside I was calm. Because I knew something she didn't. The woman who bragged about how stupid I was had no idea that I was quietly dismantling the empire she'd built. Piece by piece, legally, methodically, and with surgical precision. 2 weeks later, I was ready. I had everything: documentation, financial statements, screenshots, recordings, and even a signed lease for a new apartment. My family knew. My lawyer was on standby. The stage was set. The hardest part, pretending to care. When she'd look me in the eye and say, "I love you." When she suggested we start trying for that baby next month. Each time I wanted to scream in her face, but I didn't. Because I wasn't just leaving her. I was about to destroy the illusion she lived for. Update. First off, holy hell, you guys, I didn't expect my last post to blow up the way it did. Thank you for the support and the messages. And yeah, the Reddit gold, still wild to me. It's been 3 weeks since then, and a lot has happened. So buckle up. Remember how I said I had a plan? I've been executing it with military precision. Step 1. The finances priority number 1. I'd already moved half our savings, but now I started documenting every expense tied to her affair. Hotel stays, client dinners, lingerie receipts. I catalogued everything in a spreadsheet. My lawyer called it dissipation of marital assets. Basically, proof she used marital funds to cheat. Then I froze our joint credit cards. Told her the bank flagged suspicious activity and was sending replacements. Technically true. By the time she got her new card, I'd already removed her as an authorized user. The day her card got declined at Sephora, she called me furious, ranting about how embarrassing it was. I played dumb. Weird. Must be a bank delay or something. Inside, I was laughing. Step 2. The move. While she was out showing houses, translation with Sutton, I quietly started moving my things to my new apartment. Not everything, just irreplaceable stuff. My dad's watch, family photos, documents. Each time I rearranged something so she wouldn't notice anything missing. Step 3. The evidence. Daryl, absolute legend, helped me compile what we called the nuclear file. Screenshots, hotel receipts, a full affair timeline, even audio recordings of her phone calls with Sutton. We're in a one-party consent state. I made 3 copies, one for me, one for my lawyer, and one for Sutton's wife. Yeah, I found her. Laura turned out to be kind, blindsided and furious, and she deserved to know. Step 4. The social angle. Heather's entire world revolved around her image, so I made sure I'd control the narrative before she could twist it. I had casual guy talks with mutual friends, dropped subtle comments like, "Hey, do you ever feel like your marriage is just off?" Just planting seeds, quiet ones. I also archived every one of her relationship goals posts on Instagram, the same account she used to parade our perfect life. D-Day, I picked the date carefully, the morning of her big client appreciation event, something she'd been planning for months. That morning, I acted completely normal. Made her coffee, kissed her cheek, wished her luck. She left glowing, confident, and completely unaware her world was about to implode. At 10 a.m., I sent the nuclear file to Laura via courier, included my number if she wanted to talk. By noon, the text started flooding in. "Why is Sutton's wife calling me? What did you do? Answer your phone." I didn't, I just watched. Then Laura called. We talked for almost an hour. She was heartbroken but grateful. Apparently, Sutton was already trying to save face, blaming Heather, saying she was obsessed with him. By 2 p.m., Heather's big event was in chaos. She left early in tears. By 3 o'clock, I emailed her parents. Factual, concise, no emotion, just the truth. I told them I respected them too much to let Heather's lies stand. By 6 p.m., I was sitting calmly in the living room when she came home. Her mascara was streaked, her eyes red, her hands shaking. She looked like she'd aged a decade in a day. First came the anger. How could you betray me like this? Then the bargaining. We can fix this. It didn't mean anything. I've only ever loved you. I said nothing, just handed her the divorce papers. The color drained from her face. That's when she realized this hadn't been a reaction. It was a plan, weeks in the making. When she noticed some of my things missing, I told her I'd already moved out. She had 3 days to figure out her next steps before I notified the landlord. We had a morality clause in our lease, something my lawyer made sure to use. The next few days were fascinating. She cycled between threats, begging, and self-pity. You'll never get away with this. It was just physical. I was lonely. You work too much. Meanwhile, her social world imploded. Michelle and Kathleen ghosted her. Her parents called, furious and disappointed. Sutton was throwing her under the bus to save his own marriage. The financial reality hit her hard. No access to savings, no cards, no apartment she could afford, her professional reputation gone. Yesterday she found out that everyone knows, not because I told them, but because the truth always finds a way out. And then last night, she showed up at my new apartment, sobbing, makeup streaked, completely broken. For a split second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. I let her in, mostly because my neighbors were starting to notice. The confrontation, I'm not one for scenes or shouting matches. So when Heather showed up at my apartment, puffy-eyed, makeup streaked, clutching her purse like it was a lifeline, I just stepped aside and let her in. She started talking immediately. A torrent of apologies and excuses spilled out of her. How she'd made a terrible mistake, how she'd do anything to fix it. How she couldn't believe she'd risked our marriage for someone like Sutton. I didn't say a word until she finally ran out of breath. Then I looked at her and said quietly, "Remember when you told your friends I was too stupid to realize you were cheating? Well, surprise." The color drained from her face. That split second of silence, when she realized exactly what I'd heard that night, was almost surreal. Her expression shifted from shock to horror to shame in seconds. She stammered something about being drunk, about just saying things. I cut her off. "Sit down, I have something to show you." She hesitated but sat. I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet. The detailed financial breakdown my lawyer helped me prepare. Every line, every column told a story. The accounts, the transfers, the lost assets, the consequences. Her new reality spelled out in black and white. "This," I said calmly, "is what life looks like after you burn it all down." For the next 20 minutes, she sat there in stunned silence as I explained the numbers, the settlements, the legal implications. No yelling, no revenge monologue, just facts, cold, hard facts. When she realized there was nothing left to say, she started crying again. I didn't comfort her. I'd done my grieving weeks ago. She left with a whisper of, "I'm sorry," and the sound of her own footsteps echoing down the hall. TLDR, I executed my plan perfectly, exposed my wife's affair to everyone who mattered, secured my finances, watched her world collapse in real time. She came to me begging for forgiveness and got a financial reality check instead. Final update, 6 months later. Hey everyone, it's been 6 months since my last post. First off, yes, I'm alive. Just needed time to breathe and process before closing the chapter on this whole saga. You know those demolition videos where they line up a building with tiny strategic explosions before it implodes in on itself? That's basically what happened to Heather's life. And I had a front row seat. The morning after, the day after Heather showed up crying at my door, I woke up to a strange, quiet calm. For the first time in months, I'd slept through the night. No 3 a.m. panic attacks, no checking my phone for her messages. Just peace. Meanwhile, Heather was discovering what my therapist later called consequences culture. After leaving my place, she apparently drove straight to Michelle's house, her supposed best friend, hoping for a place to crash. According to our mutual friend Jake, Michelle literally turned off her lights and pretended not to be home. Car in the driveway, blinds drawn, everything. Friendship goals, right? The divorce. The legal process went smoother than I expected. My lawyer was worth every penny. During mediation, Heather tried to argue that one mistake shouldn't erase 8 years of marriage. The mediator, an older woman who clearly had no patience for nonsense, just looked at her and asked, "Does 3 years of documented infidelity count as one mistake?" Heather didn't have an answer. When the tears didn't work, she switched to threats, said she'd ruin my reputation, tell people I was abusive, make the divorce hell. My lawyer slid a photo of her and Sutton across the table and reminded her that Maryland allows adultery to influence alimony decisions. The look on Heather's face? Like she'd brought a butter knife to a nuclear war. We settled 2 weeks later. I kept my retirement accounts, most of our assets, and the car. She got enough to start over, but nowhere near the lifestyle she was used to. Even the judge commented that she was fortunate given the circumstances. The fallout, this part, I'll admit, was hard to watch, even for me. Heather moved back in with her parents, in their retirement community. 32 years old, sleeping in a twin bed under the same floral wallpaper she'd had in high school. She tried to maintain her online image at first, cryptic quotes about growth and trusting the process, carefully cropped selfies that didn't reveal she was living in her childhood room. But people notice when your feed goes from exotic vacations to #TBTs and coffee mugs. Then came the job loss, not because of the affair, her boss didn't care, but because she started missing work and showing up late. Depression, probably. I understood that part, even if I couldn't pity her anymore. The social fallout. Our friend group fractured almost immediately. Team Griffin, Daryl, Jake and his wife, most of my co-workers, and even Heather's cousin Tina, who told me she always knew Heather was selfish. Team Heather, mostly just her parents at first. Even they started keeping their distance. Team Nobody, everyone else who didn't want to get dragged into divorce drama. Can't blame them. Then there was Michelle, the friend who ghosted Heather right after D-Day. A month later, she messaged me on Facebook asking if I wanted to catch up over coffee. I politely declined. Something about how fast she switched sides didn't sit right. The Sutton situation, Laura, Sutton's wife, and I stayed in touch. Not romantically, just as two people rebuilding from the same wreckage. We grabbed lunch every few weeks, swapped updates, and reminded each other that life goes on. Apparently, Sutton tried every rom-com tactic in the book. Showing up at her house with a boombox, flooding her office with flowers, begging their pastor to mediate. None of it worked. Laura filed for divorce 3 weeks after D-Day. Moved in with her sister in Pennsylvania. Last I heard, she's dating a kindergarten teacher who coaches Little League. Honestly, couldn't be happier for her. As for Sutton, he actually texted me once. Something about how we're both victims and how Heather pursued him aggressively. I sent him a single emoji. Felt appropriate. Moving forward. This part's harder to write. I've been in therapy. Learned a lot about boundaries, self-worth, and what love actually looks like. I'm not ready to date again yet, but I'm not bitter either. There's peace in knowing the worst is behind me. Sometimes I still think about that night on the deck, the laughter, the words that broke me. But now it feels distant, like something that happened to someone else. Heather built her life on lies. I built mine back on truth. And that, I think, is the real justice. The first month after moving out, I basically went off the grid. Work, home, DoorDash, Netflix, sleep, repeat. My apartment looked like a college dorm crash pad. Mattress on the floor, 1 pot, 2 plates, no decor. Just empty space and silence. Daryl finally staged an intervention. One Saturday morning, he showed up uninvited with bagels and forced me to actually talk. I'm not much of a crier, but that day wrecked me. I told him things I hadn't even admitted to myself. How beneath the anger, I was just sad. Sad about the years wasted. Sad about the future I thought I'd have. Sad that someone I trusted completely could betray me so easily. That conversation was the turning point. I started therapy. Found a guy through BetterHelp who specialized in betrayal trauma. He didn't push forgiveness or reconciliation or any of that hallmark stuff. Just gave me practical tools to process what happened and move forward. Then came the small steps. A real bed frame, a soccer league on weekends, saying yes to social invitations instead of inventing excuses, cooking again instead of living off frozen pizza and protein shakes. 2 months ago, I went on my first date since the divorce. Nothing serious, just coffee with someone I met in a hiking meetup group. It was awkward as hell. I'd forgotten how to have a normal conversation with someone new. But it was a start. The final confrontation last week, life threw me a curveball. I was at Home Depot, grabbing paint for my new place, finally ready to give those blank walls some color, when I literally bumped carts with Heather. She looked different. Shorter hair, simple clothes, no designer anything. For a second, neither of us knew what to do. Then she asked if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I said yes. We sat on a bench outside, both clutching our orange bags like emotional shields. She started with a real apology. No excuses, no blame, just acknowledgement. She said she'd been in therapy, working on herself, trying to understand why she'd done what she did. Part of me braced for manipulation or tears or some plea to get back together, but it never came. She just wanted to say she was sorry, and that she hoped I was okay. Then she mentioned she was moving to Chicago for a fresh start, had a job interview lined up, and was staying with a college friend. The strangest thing, I felt nothing. Not anger, not pain, not satisfaction, just nothing. Like watching the finale of a show I'd stopped caring about seasons ago. We said goodbye, no hug, just a nod. As she walked away, she turned back and said quietly, "I know it doesn't matter now, but I really did love you. I just didn't know how to love anyone properly." Including myself. 6 months ago, those words would have gutted me. That day, they were just background noise to an ordinary Tuesday errand. Where I am now. My new place is finally starting to feel like home. Smaller than the apartment we shared, but peaceful. No emotional landmines hiding in corners, just mine. Work's good, friends are solid, I'm good. Most days anyway. There are still moments when a song hits too close, or I pass a restaurant we used to go to and it stings. But those moments fade faster now. Yesterday, I deleted all the evidence files from my computer. I kept one backup locked away, but I don't need the screenshots and timelines cluttering my digital life anymore. It felt symbolic, like clearing cache, but for my soul. I'm seeing someone new. Taking it slow. She knows the basics, not the ugly details. She's patient with my trust issues and doesn't push when I need space. It's too early to call it anything, but it feels hopeful. As for Heather, her mum, who still sends me birthday cards somehow, told me she's doing fine in Chicago, got the job, found an apartment, making new friends. Part of me is genuinely glad, not out of affection, but because it means the story's over, for both of us. The woman who once laughed that I was too stupid to see her betrayal ended up learning the hardest lesson. That actions have consequences, that reputations take years to build, but seconds to destroy. And that some things, once broken, can't ever be repaired. And me, I learned I'm stronger than I ever thought. That starting over isn't the same as giving up. And that the best revenge isn't ruining someone else's life, it's rebuilding your own. Better than before.